Well, hello, welcome back. We're doing something I have not done in a very long time, eyeliner. Eyeliner, it's one of those things, depending on your eye shape, depending on your level of effort, which I usually like to put in very little, it can get kind of tough. I have slightly rounded, more deep set eyes, so eyeliner is always a little more challenging for me, so I'm gonna give you some tips throughout the tutorial just to kind of help you make adjustments if you don't think it's looking right on your eye shape. I did that one video a while ago, eyeliner for deep set eyes. All of those still apply. I'm still using the same exact technique, just adding a couple of things here and there that are helpful. Also, apologies in advance. There were two places where my sound went out. So you're seeing, but you're not hearing anything. I went ahead and did a voiceover in these two parts, so very sorry for that. So here we go. So let's begin with our base. I'm going to use this by Mercier. This is their Tinted Moisturizer, the oil-free. Always been a fan of this tinted moisturizer, and they've upgraded the formula. It's a little different now. And the color that I'm using is 4W1 Tawny. So I'm just gonna dot that over my face, and the rest is on my hand here. And for a lighter weight product like this, like a tinted moisturizer, I always like using a more sparse brush, like a duo fiber brush, instead of something dense like a kabuki brush. It's just gonna give a more natural finish. This is a really solid, lightweight product. Okay, so we have the base on. I'm gonna try a little something different for the contour and highlight this time. I've seen this done, but I've never tried it on my own, so let's try it. I'm gonna take this by Persona Cosmetics. This is their multi-stick bronzer in Dune. Wear everywhere that I want, just to bring a little bit of warmth, a little bit of dimension, but this is a lighter contour, so I'm gonna feel free to add a little bit more of it. And then with a deeper contour, which is the color Sahara, I'm gonna go in just in smaller areas, just to add a little more of that depth. I think that's about all I'm gonna do. I think I can actually add a little bit more of Dune just to get a little more warmth around this mug. So I'm not gonna blend this out just yet. I am gonna take my YSL Touche Eclat High Cover. This is the Radiant Concealer in the number 2. And I'm gonna start applying this and just push it at the top to get more product to come out. So now, taking the same brush that I used to apply my base, I'm just gonna go through and blend this all out. Instead of section by section, I'm gonna do this all over. Let's see how this turns out. One, this cuts down on time. And two, I feel like you get a really nice blended effect. So next, for my cream blush, I'm using the Makeup by Mario Soft Pop Blush Stick in Dusty Rose. This does come with a brush on the other end, but I am not a fan of dense brushes for blending out blush. So I'm just going to apply this kind of high and out toward the outer part of my cheeks. And just using the same brush. I try to cut back on as many steps, as many tools as possible, so I'm just gonna use the same brush. Nice. It's a really pretty color too, very neutral, not too much of a pop of pink. So now, to set a little bit of that concealer, I'm gonna use the Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush Flawless. This is my go-to powder. And just using a brush, this brush is by Wet n Wild. It's their P75. Really good for targeting small areas for powder. And now for my highlight, I'm gonna go back to a throwback product. Do you remember this? What's Up by Benefit. This is a classic. It's really one of the best out there too. So I'm gonna apply this right directly onto my face. Really pretty highlight. And then this I'm just going to blend out with my hand. I haven't used this in so long. but it's definitely one of, I think, the best ever. So I'm very happy with this base. I'm gonna move on to the eyes and we're gonna move you a little bit closer. So for the eyes, the first thing I'm gonna start with is actually concealer and powder because I want a really nice, clean canvas. So this doesn't have to be anything particularly clean, just rub it all over your lids. Just make sure you cover everything so that the veins and anything else, any darkness doesn't show. If you have darker lids, if you have darker pigment in your lids, darker than your complexion, I mean, you can always go in with a color corrector first, something either peach or salmon tone, depending on how deep your complexion is. Put that on first, and then you can put on a little bit of a lighter concealer. The trouble is if you put light concealer over like darker pigment, if you're trying to cover up discoloration, you're gonna get gray. It's not gonna look right. So first you wanna color correct with a little bit of salmon or peach. And then using that same powder, the Charlotte Tilbury powder, I'm just gonna apply that over my lids. And now for the fun part, the liner. The product that I'm gonna use is by Bobbi Brown, tried and true favorite. Been using this for years. This is their long wear gel eyeliner in black ink. And the brush that I'm gonna use is actually a really small one. I'm gonna see if I can get this to focus. I feel like this is such an old school YouTube move to put your hand, but this is the only way I can really show it. Otherwise it's too skinny. Do you see how small this angled brush is? It's so small. So you can really get precise lines with it. This is by Dominique Cosmetics and it's their DS01. It's called the Blade. It's so funny, even when I was doing YouTube videos back then, I never did the hand thing. I think that's my first time. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take the brush and I'm going to scoop out some product. Like a good amount of product. And I'm gonna start by putting it on the back of my hand. So this is gonna be kind of my palette. You could also use a palette if you wanted to. This way you're able to sort of, you know, smooth out the brush so there isn't a chunk of liner on it. Instead, you're smoothing it out so that you only get just enough product on the tip to apply to your eyeliner. All right, so let's begin. I'm gonna take this and start right here at the inner corner and line just based on the curve of my eyeball. Do you see how I just kind of went for it and let the roundness of my eyeball just direct the flow of the liner. So then I'm gonna go back again to the product on the back of my hand and then just fill in. This is also the first time I've done a liner in maybe like 2 years. And then you can continue going back and scooping out more product and smoothing it over the back of your hand as much as you need, as many times as you need. So once we get out here to the outer corner, we really want to blueprint that wing. So first, I'm gonna start mapping out the angle of it. It was a little too steep. I think that's a little bit better. And then if you remember the little scallop we're gonna do here, because I do have deep set eyes, we're gonna need that scallop to create a smooth line. So what I'm doing with the wing here is because I have a deep set eye shape, I have to create sort of a step. And if you've been with me for a while, you remember years ago, I created that Batman swoop that all of a sudden became popular more recently. So now I think what needs to happen is that wing needs to be elevated just slightly. Just the wing part. So I'm going to extend that up just a bit. Much better. So the goal is when you're looking straight ahead to have a really fluid, smooth line. It may not look so when you close your eye. I mean, it's not far, but when you're looking straight ahead, obviously when I look this way, because of the shape of my eyeball, it gets distorted. But when you look straight ahead, let me see if it's looking, yeah, it looks pretty smooth. So for various reasons, I am not a fan of makeup remover wipes. I don't use them on my face, but I happen to have them in the home. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take one, and because there's product kind of gathering on the tip of the brush, I'm just gonna use that to pick off anything that's stuck on the brush. I'll do this maybe 2 or 3 times during the course of doing this look. It's just the easiest way to clean up your brush. And then I'm gonna go back to grabbing more product out of the pot, and then let's start on the other side. So again, anchoring very important that you anchor your finger somewhere in your face, and then begin at that very inner corner. Start your line up, and then let the brush just go over the curve of your eye. And now that I have my eye covered from inner corner to outer corner, I'm gonna begin mapping out that wing, trying my damnedest to match it to the other side, and then connect and swoop it down. And I noticed that recently, don't mind the line, I know they're not totally matching yet, but recently I've been seeing that putting tape over here and letting that be sort of a stencil to create a winged liner. I mean, do what you want to do, but I don't recommend that because you're putting tape, a fairly strong adhesive, on your delicate eye area. Okay, we're in a good place, but I still want to eliminate some of that curve toward the end. Do you see how it really kind of curves and then goes into the wing? I don't like that. I like it to be a little bit more straight. So now that I have both sides done and both sides matching pretty well, I'm going to first clean up that brush again, get all that excess product off. I go in right here and add a bit of an angle to this line. And I'll tell you in a second if that worked. Yep. So adding that angle allows that curve to kind of go away. Okay, this is where my sound malfunctioned. So what I'm doing here is I'm taking the same liner and I'm lining the inner rim of my top lash line as well as my waterline. The reason for this is, one, you don't see the skin around the eye anymore, so it makes the whole look just look more sharp and clean. And as you're adding liner to the bottom lash line, it's just gonna make it that much more dramatic. Once you get to that outer corner, you see how I'm connecting it? You definitely wanna make sure you connect it with where the liner or the wing begins. Just make sure you hit the top and bottom of the other side. Now, this next section is a little trick I like to use. Eyeliner is very tricky, so sometimes you have to make adjustments if you want that really nice cat shape. So I like to take a pair of tweezers, use the other end, and wrap a makeup remover wipe around it nice and tight, and you can use that to scoop out the shape. Sometimes it gets too thick if the liner is right outside of the iris. If it's too thick there, the liner just doesn't look right. So I'm kind of scooping it out so it's less thick right in that section. And then moving to the other side, we've just got our sound back. I'm sorry about that. Gonna hit that other side, get those lashes nice and tall. And with an eye look like this, you absolutely need your brows to be on point. So I'm taking this Aqua Resist Brow Fixer by Makeup Forever. This is actually really nice because it really fills in your brows as you set them. It deposits, I guess it's fibers, or I don't know if it's just pigment, like a powder, but you can use the tip too to reinforce some more like hair-like strokes. I'm sorry, it happened again. It happened again. The sound went off. I'm sorry. Good thing it happened before I got in too deep. So the liner I'm using is by KKW. It's their 2.5 nude. And I am concentrating a lot of this darkness right out here. The lipstick is by Charlotte Tilbury. It's called Cover Star. Very pretty nude, matte. So with this, I'm gonna go in and apply first and then begin mixing with that darker shade. I love this nude because it's such a nice coffee nude. It's not pinky. And as you're going over the liner, you can see it's obviously blending together. So you see what I did with the lipstick? I put it over the dark lip liner so that it doesn't seem so dark, but it is still darker than the center, which creates dimension and gives it more pout. So that's it for this look. I just wanted to do an eyeliner. I haven't done eyeliner in a really long time. I didn't throw any lashes on. I feel like this is just really basic, a nice, simple, still dramatic eyeliner. I have nowhere to go, so I'm just gonna go wash this off. I hope you had a great weekend. I will see you in my next video.